Hello and welcome to our continued series where we speak to the owners that lit up 2020 with their charges. And we have two men that tasted classic success. We have Michael Hogan, of course, the owner of Grangeview Ten, who sadly is now retired, but during his racing career was one of the very, very best, one of the most exciting trackers we've seen over the last 2 or 3 years. And I'm also joined with Ger Hutton, who I can safely say achieved a lifelong goal by claiming classic success with Epic Hero, running out a very aptly named winner of the Irish St. Leger, of course, at Limerick. Two men that had a great year and still plenty to look forward to in 2021. Gentlemen, thanks for joining me here today. Ger, of course, most of the focus in your chat today will be about Epic Hero. I suppose it only seems like yesterday.
Oh, that's all in, yeah. Look, it was fantastic. We had a great few weeks there. That around that time, we had phone calls from all over the world. There was people from Australia and America contacted us. Like, it was unbelievable, and the amount of people that around Ireland that contacted us by phone was unbelievable. It was really well appreciated, and it was a buzz. It was a great buzz while around that time.
And, yeah, of course. And in these strange times, it sort of added a bit of colour to the life because, we're in very, very strange times at present.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's unbelievable the way things are at the moment. And it gave us a great lift at that time. And unfortunately, we weren't able to go. But sure, look, it was great to have the dog there. And the excitement that myself and Joan had here watching the race, like we have our own little video of it here, and it was unbelievable, like the sensation and the we were pushing the dog on basically when he came out of the traps, and
we'll save that for a few minutes time now. We better say hello to Michael. Michael, you had a good year, of course. It wasn't just Grangeview 10. You also, of course, picked up an award at the National Greyhound Awards. The Dam, Portumna West was the Brood Bitch of the Year. So a great start to the year. And of course, Grangeview 10, while he didn't have an awful lot of racing in 2020, he was thereabouts in the three competitions that he played part in.
That's right, Ian. Yeah, he's a very honest dog, in fairness to him. Every night he goes out, he's 100%. And we had a great year. We started off there with the Gold Cup. And of course, it's like everything, the Ballymacks are torn on everyone's side and the collar's on the line that night. And it was a very wet night. It didn't really suit him on the night either, but we soldiered on, and it was kind of a pity the lockdown kind of came and frightened us for a long time.
Yeah, so, replacing a dog like that, because he has since been retired. You retired him at the back end of the year. Of course, he was approaching 4 years of age. It was probably the right time. A couple of little niggle injuries, but all in all, he came off the track in good nick.
Yeah, he's in good shape, in fairness to him. He always ran very sound. We'd never had any problems with him. Just one good trait about him, injury free, and very genuine dog.
He surely was. Well, we'll get into it now in a few minutes. I'm going to start with yourself, Ger, because yours is sort of nearly freshest in the mind because it's not that long ago that Epic Hero won the Leger. Firstly, you've always thought a fair bit of this dog, Ger. Of course, Tommy O'Donovan bred him and reared him, and has done an expert job with him. He caught my eye very early in his racing career. I think it was a second or third start at Shelburne Park. He showed massive pace in the feet. You knew from an early stage that he was a dog with some potential.
Oh, we did. He was thrown into the deep end, obviously, from the start. He was in the juvenile in Tralee, and it was a learning experience. The next step after the juvenile in Tralee was the Produce Stakes. I had one or two races in between, but he was always running at top level, and it was a learning experience for him, basically. You know what I mean? All along, for him to reach his potential to go to the final of the Produce Stakes even was a big plus, and then everything moved on nicely for the Leger, and things worked out as planned, So it's great when it does happen,
There were some stepping stones along the way, of course. He did take his chance in the Derby, and he was one of the stars in the. It was at the second round. He did a massive run, a 29-19 run. 19, yeah. I have to admit, I did back him myself that night. I thought he was an accident waiting to happen. the next round, he probably got the worst draw in the history of Greyhound racing. He had Boyle Sports Extra on his outside. Am I right?
That's right. That's right. Like we knew going up, we were able to go up at that time and see him, and we knew our fate before we went up, because we knew, and everything just turned out exactly as was, you know, the way the dogs were situated in the traps. The Boyle Sports dog moved right across our dog, and it was curtains then, for unfortunately. But that's that's Greyhound racing. You have to take that on the chin and move on. Like the night that he did the fast run in the Derby, John and myself were in the restaurant that night, and like the excitement was unbelievable. We watched it there, and there was a few people around us, and they had him backed as well at big prices. You obviously wrote sweetly about him that week, and lads were watching him, and there was a good few people after told me that they had a few pound on him. I don't back myself, but I'd have maybe a fiver on the tote or whatever. But you know, there was a good few lads, I think, did okay of him that night. Anyway, it was great excitement, and great to win around at the Derby, you know.
It's
dogs around him,
it's wonderful when a plan comes together, Ger. He had been showing all the signs, and we were just waiting for that big run. It did come. Of course, he went out in the Derby. You gave him a race at Cork, perhaps maybe with a view to a Laurels challenge later in the year. But his next start came just over a month and a half later at Limerick, and
that's right.
This is where the ball really started to roll from. He won his first round heat in 29.99, showing plenty of promise around the place, but gradually got better through the competition.
Yeah, he's a dog, like, you know, we've been terribly lucky with him. He was injury-free dog. It's like Michael was saying there about his dog. Like, in fairness, he never was held up with injuries or anything like that. And you know, Thomas done a great job with him, and you know, he started the first round in the Ledger and just got better as things went on. You know, trap one, obviously he was in trap one twice, I think, and it didn't really suit him. You know, he was just missing the kick there from one. But you know, as the rounds went on, he was improving, and we knew that. I said to you on the cast that we did before the Ledger, you know, that we knew that he had early pace, and things really, you know, when he drew trap two in the final, we really knew, like, that he had a big chance.
Well, we're going to have to start calling you Mystic Ger, because he went from doing a 291 and a 294 in the quarterfinals and semi-finals to a 275 in the final. It was his fastest start by some way in the Ledger, but it was the key to success. In the week up to the Ledger, that's what you were hoping for. You knew that was where your chance lay.
That's right. We knew he had, like I said to you before, we knew he had a serious early pace. Like, you know, before the juvenile, Thomas was trialing him around Tralee, and he did a serious run in a sprint down there, and he rang me and he said, like, you know, it's an unbelievable run he was after doing, and you know, we knew what he was capable of doing, and like, it didn't come as any surprise to us, like that you know, what he did on the final night and the sectional that he did. I think it was the fastest sectional in the whole competition, you know. So he did everything right on the night that counted. That was the main thing. You know?
Sure he was. Tommy O'Donovan, of course, a very, very capable trainer. He had a spell across the I'm going to say across the pond. It's a big pond. He was over in Australia, and he did very well himself. He brought back a couple of bitches, and you know, we're seeing the results. But Epic Hero, he always said to me, he said, this breed, he said, they need to be 2 years of age and plus. He says he's still a maturing greyhound. You decided after the Ledger to give him a little bit of rest, probably with a view to 2021.
That's it, exactly. And he's just started back in work now, with a view, hopefully, that he'll contest the Easter Cup, and that's the plan. And hopefully the Derby then is the big objective for us for this year coming, like, you know what I mean. So we just seen him once since he won the Ledger. We went down the Monday after he won the Ledger to see him, and so he's Thomas was telling me, like, even when they're going racing, they have to, you know, nearly sneak out of the kennel. When he sees them going, he just wants to go, and that's what he wants to do. He wants to race, and he's in unbelievable form at the moment. So he's back. He's back in training at the moment, and he's just get a few gallops getting into him now and bringing him along nicely now for the Easter Cup. You won't feel that coming up now. It's only in another few weeks. So
yeah, a matter of weeks away now, the Easter
Yeah.
Cup. And I suppose that's a sign that Tom, like obviously he is a classic winning greyhound. You now have to think in those terms. You have to think of the likes of Ledger, Derbies. That's
right.
basically it's the only place he has to go, really.
Oh yeah, well sure. Look at he's capable of winning any of those competitions if things just go his way on the night. Like he's a fast dog. I know there's a lot of competition out there now at the moment. There's an awful lot of fast dogs in this country at the moment. It's a great time for greyhound racing, and like it's not easy win. You need an awful lot of luck on your side to win a competition now. With what Michael was saying there about the Ballymacs, and they're really at the amount of really good dogs and bitches that they have at the moment is unbelievable. But leaving aside the Ballymacs, there's a good few serious dogs, young dogs coming on stream now, and like they'll all take beating, and it's not easy win now. Like the bar has been raised.
It certainly has.
Yeah.
I think we are definitely facing into a year where the current crop of greyhounds are as strong as any I can remember in the past. And well, with all the rumours going about, there seems to be a few more superstars about to appear in the next few weeks, given all the unraced stakes. But I'm going to bring you back to the Ledger final for a moment. How soon into the Ledger final did you know you had won? Was it after 2 strides? Were you confident, or were you looking behind you going, what can pick us up? Where are we? Like, what was that your train of thought during the race, or was it a case of just keep roaring?
I tell you, the night of the draw, we knew we had a big chance. When we drew 2, we knew we had a serious chance. That's where he really seems to spark over there. It's mainly to do with the length of time that he's in the traps, more so than the trap itself. But on the night, look at when he flashed out and was able to clear the one dog. We knew once he hit the front, like that was it. You know what I mean? When he went past around the first bend in front, we knew bar accident that there was nothing going to catch him. He stays well, and sure, look at the tears and the shouts and the roars there. We willed him over the line, John and myself here, and it was great. We have it actually on my phone, and we taped it here. So we have our emotions, the dog winning, and
we'll have to try and get our hands on that video.
I go, so look at it. We do often play it back here. I sent it over to my sisters in England to show them, the dog winning and that, like they couldn't get over the what it meant to us. Like, you know what I mean? It was unbelievable.
Yeah, Ger, I suppose you're in a great position now where anything he does from now on in is a bonus. He's after winning a classic. He's after winning a Ledger, and a Ledger is like, it's such a famous competition. It's been won by so many great dogs through the years. Yeah. It must be great to have it in your back pocket.
Sure, it's great. Like, you know what I mean, and it's great to have such a good dog as well. Like, I know it's going to be hard win Easter Cups and derbies, and you know what I mean. But look at once the dog is able to turn up at the track and do himself justice and comes off sound, that's all we want. We're happy then, you know what I mean. And it's even going down to see him in the kennel, which unfortunately we're not able to do now at the moment. But you know what I mean. We can't wait. John loves going down to see them. You know what I mean. Those dogs mean an awful lot to John, and that's what really drives me on to obviously when she's so involved and so happy about the dog. And not only him, the other dogs that we have down there as well, like, you know what I mean.
Oh, we'll get to them. Yes, don't you worry about that, Ger.
It's a day out for us to go down to the kennel and see the dogs.
Yeah,
and, like, it's unbelievable. Like, there's a lot. It's more than just like when we named him Epic Hero. Everything I see now at the moment is epic this and epic that. You know what I mean? The name seems to be cropping up everywhere now. And I even see where somebody picked it as a prefix there recently. But anyway, it's everything just went grand for him. You know what I mean? It's a great kick, and hopefully hopefully he'll be able to turn it on again. Like, he's in unbelievable form. You know what I mean? It's just luck and running now is all he needs, and just be able, like, it's going to be terrible hard. Like you've seen it there with the dogs during the year, like, too fast. You know what I mean? They're very fast dogs, like, and that's the level the bar is now, and you have to be able to compete at that. And he's capable of competing, and thankfully he's a dog that's not, prone to injury. So hopefully things stay sound for him.
Well, stay with us, Ger. We'll be back to you in a few minutes because we're going to talk to Michael.
Okay.
Michael had a very memorable year from more than one perspective. Of course, you ended 2019 in fine style. Of course, you had a fantastic 2019. You were already a classic winner, of course, with Grangeview Ten winning the Produce Stakes in 2019. Grangeview West produced some epic performances towards the back end of that year as well. She was a star for you, and as a result, you had a bit of silverware in your back pocket from earlier this year. You won the Brood Bitch of the Year with Portumna West, and that must have been a special night, Michael.
Oh, it was a great night. Like, there's no doubt about it. Like, because you're up against it when you go to that level, like, to win anything. Like, we were delighted for her. Like, but she is an exceptional bitch. That litter is outstanding.
And it wasn't just those two, of course. We had the Salakers Punch Dog, who was a real star over the sprint trip. He came over from the UK to win on Irish Derby final night. That's not easily done.
No, and like, he was a very good dog, and like, he was unlucky. Like, he passed away since. Like, he's got some sort of a virus in the heart, but he was a very good dog as well. Like, so like, she like, for her second litter, like, they were outstanding, and hopefully, like, she'll throw a lot more.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was only your second litter. Grangeview Ten. From at what point, obviously you bred him, you reared him, you had him in your hands. At what point did you think this fellow could be the real deal?
Well, we kind of started off in Waterford on an opening race. Like, it was a big stake, it was a 66 dog stake, like, and he was getting grief every night. He was just missing the kick there for the first few rounds, like, and the night of final he kind of came out, and even he got troubles going to the bin, but it was just sheer determination that got him over the line. Like, there's no give up on him. Like, he'll just take his last breath, that kind of way.
Yeah, so, very, very fast greyhound. He came to Shelbourne Park one night, I remember, very early in his career, and he was made strong favourite for a race. I think it was more the talk about him, and it just didn't happen for him. But then you made the decision to go to Clonmel, and I suppose the rest is history. He was good through the Clonmel, through the Produce Stakes, but it was actually in the final that he just produced a big run, and it was a case of, from then on, he was just flying. That was sort of the night the penny dropped, it seemed.
Yeah, like, he just matured the whole way along, like, and his trapping got better, and his early was improving, and he was just phenomenal. Like, I suppose he was a slow developer in one sense, from when he started, like, but like he ran in the best of company. Like, he was in open class all his life. Like, he has 50% strike rate. He's really an exceptional dog, and his temperament and everything about him, like,
Before we start talking about his 2020 campaign, I just have to bring you back to the Derby of 2019. You knew it was going to be a stretch for him, but in those first two rounds, he was absolutely incredible. Like, it was when you talk about the new Win Taylors and Pistana this year, that's what he was doing in those 2 or 3 early rounds in the Derby of 2019.
Yeah, he was phenomenal, in fairness to him. Like, he just blew away, and that third bin split, like, and like, it was just electrifying, to see him in action, like, It was unbelievable, like, but it, as you say, the trip was a little bit of a stretch for him, like, in fairness, and it just kind of, it probably took the edge off him for a while after that as well, like, because, like, when you're doing them kind of clocks, like, it's very hard to get, like, even go back to Pistana. Like, I think he was kind of tiring as the competition went on this year a bit as well, because he had such early as well, and New and Taylor, all them dogs with phenomenal speed, like, it's very hard to stay very strong up to 550 yards covering that kind of ground, like, early.
Of course, he wasn't finished in 2019. You brought him to the Laurels, and he took part in one of the great races. I'm going to say one of the great races in Irish Greyhound history. Certainly one of the strongest fields ever assembled for a classic decider. He was beaten, like the width of your hand in the final by Rocky Bay Foley. Back into third, he led for much of the way. Didn't get to the front as early as he wanted, and was picked up. He's beaten a short head in the head. It was an epic race. It was you probably feeling nice where, God, if all we needed was just that 2 spots more to the corner and we'd have won. But do you look back at it now and go, listen, we've had our 2 classics, or does it still hurt a bit?
No, you could just kind of feel it as if it was left behind. Like he was kind of drew on the wrong side of Rocky Bay Foley. He broke well. Like Rocky Bay Foley had good early as well, and he hit him on the second bend and drove him back 2.5 lengths. Like that was the beating of him on the night. Like he had to make up that ground again to the third bend, and he got caught on the line again himself. To break our heart.
I could tell. The sigh there says it all. You ended Shelbourne Park. You did a 28-21 in Shelbourne Park, and then no luck in the Night of Stars. Finished 3rd to Boyle Sports Extra. On the night, I don't think anyone would begrudge Boyle Sports Extra. He was running for a very worthwhile cause on that occasion. You brought him back this year, or 2020, should I say. We're now into 2021, of course, for the Gold Cup. More heartache, as you were saying earlier on. It led for much of the way into the decider. A wet, windy, old, dirty night. Like, considering the final was won in 28.87, they rated the track slow. Like, to be beaten only a couple of lengths in the finish on a track that really, really wouldn't have suited him, by a couple of real stars, and another unbelievably good final. You really came up against some good ones in these finals. Ballymac-Anton picked you up, but in behind was the likes of Pastana, Run Happy. There were some real stars in that competition. Did you feel, here we go again, or did you get you excited for the rest of the year?
I kind of had a feeling with the night being so bad that we were kind of going to be in trouble, to tell you the truth. Like, Jesus, it rained all that day. Like, and even I was in Shelbourne, and the dog was going around. Like, you could see the water flying out from underneath their paws. Like, it was a very bad night. And the odds were stacked against him, really and truly, like, to win it. Like, but you'd be always hoping, like, in fairness. But
yeah. With this dog, of course, you always had that option of sprinting. And I suppose the decision was made soon after the Gold Cup, I'm going to imagine, despite the fact that we had lockdown 3 months off. Perhaps I don't know what the reasons behind the decision were. Was it just a case of it was time to give him a chance at 2 bends, or was it a case of, well, he hasn't had much racing, so sure, why don't I have a go at this rather than going straight back into 4 bends? What was the view when you decided to go for the sprint?
Well, sure. Like, we kind of had our mind set on it for a while. Like the 400 in Dundalk, like we said, it told him, he's trapping abilities early. Like, he had it all for it. Like, I mean? Like, you'd be kind of mad to push him onto something else when that was there, more favourable for him, like, that kind of way. So that's where we wound up anyway. And lucky enough, we pulled that one off.
Well, in fairness, when you look at his run through the competition, I don't think luck really comes into play. He won his prep race in 21.05, and then his 5 rounds through the competition, or was it straight in 21.05, 21.10, 21.18, 20.88, 20.75 and 20.88, unbeaten. He won by the minimum margin of 2 lengths, and he won one of his heats by 8 lengths. Like, he was absolutely imperious through the competition. And yes, in the final, we knew he still had work to do because Brody's magic was there, but in the end, he never played a part. Your fellow was just absolutely electric. I'm going to bring you back to the semi-final night when the 2 dogs both broke the track record. It was 15 minutes like no other in Irish Greyhound racing. Those 2 dogs were absolutely sensational on the night. It must have been an unbelievable experience.
That's right, yeah. Like, I was actually down in Galway racing that night myself, and like I said to Pat there a few weeks before that I think he'll break the clock in Dundalk this year. The dog, and Pat, he says, you're kind of putting me under pressure now. like I was really smiling, like when he did break the clock, and like I couldn't believe it when he brought his magic to the door.
Well, you held it for 15 minutes, in fairness.
Just about 15 minutes, I think. But like,
the main thing was that a week later you came back and lifted the final. You won it with another brilliant performance from a Greyhound that will now or has retired now with 6 wins from 6 starts over 2 bends. It was fairly emphatic.
That's right. The final, like, although having said that, everything was in favour of for Brody's Magic on the night of the final. Like, he was inside us. Urban Highway was withdrawn. Like, Brody's Magic had a fashion of kind of drawn to veering to the left, and we said we're kind of in trouble here. Like even if they ran as good as they do the 2 of them the night of the semi-final, like, you'd give Brody's Magic the nod, like, on the bin, like. But like, it just shows his consistency and that's the type of dog he is. He just flew away and was gone again. Like that's what makes winners, I suppose.
707 on the final night. He had a 704 in the semi-final night. I suppose it'd be a bit too much to expect him to repeat that, but he didn't go too much slower. 707. So he lands the spoils. He's now a dual classic winner, should I say, having won the Produce Stakes the previous year. He's now after winning the Irish Sprint Cup. And then, of course, what was to be a swan song, you headed off to the laurels, and again more heartache. He was one of the stars of the early rounds, and just didn't quite happen for him the semi-finals. And he dead heated in the semi-finals. You had the option to go for the runoff, but I think from early enough after the race, you realised he wasn't going to be able to take his place in the runoff.
No, well, we have great respect for the dog, and you know, for the welfare of the dog as well. Like, you know, to push him on the Tuesday morning again in Cork, and especially it rained all day Monday. Cork was flooded Tuesday morning. Like, it'd be really, you know.
He'd have also been taken on a dog that would have run 6 nights a week. Like, he was such a strong greyhound. The 525 in Cork would have taken nothing out of him.
That's right. Like, and like, you know, to run the six races in 5 weeks. Like, we'd be talking about competition dogs sticking it out for 5 weeks. Like, you know, we're looking for another night for him. Like, which would, like, we couldn't justify it to running.
I suppose the big difference was those 5 or 6 mil in the semi-final. If he'd got there, you never know what might have happened. Run to see it did run out a fine laurels winner, but if your fella had been in the final, it could have been a very different race.
I think so too. I think he could have pulled it off if he actually got to the final, but like, we were just kind of unlucky. Brody's Magic came up alongside him in the semi-final just at the wrong point, and he came in and top him, and he missed about 4 strides. And like, he, even in fairness to him, he came back at Brody's Magic on the line as well. Like, you know, he got back up, but he was just running out of steam as well at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, so it wasn't meant to be, I think.
It wasn't meant to be. I'll tell you one thing, for a man, you know, for a dog that's won 2 classics, there's 2 or 3 cases of, God, what might have been, because, you know, you with a tiny bit more luck, he could have been, I'm not going to say a dual laurels winner, but he could have certainly been a laurels winner. He could have been a Gold Cup winner. You know, you never know what might have happened in that derby, you know, had he gone through that 3rd or 4th round, wherever he got knocked out. It's just one of those dogs where, wow, like, he won so much, and yes, there was another 1 or 2 there in his grasp.
Well, sure, he has the wow factor about him. Like, any night he runs, even your commentaries when he's racing, like, you know, you're automatically expecting this dog to show up in front. You can feel it in your voice, like, you know what I mean, when the traps goes up, like, you know what I mean, like.
There he goes. Yeah, it's a case of you're just waiting for him to go and then see what chases him. Yeah.
He's so honest and reliable, like, you know, that's it. Like, and it's just so hard to get a dog like that. Like.
Yeah, I was going to say, now you have to replace him, Michael. What are you going to do?
Like scratching my head a bit, I think. Sure, hopefully there's a few young dogs coming on. We might have something coming up, you know. But I don't know. It's very hard to fill his shoes now.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's hard to fill their shoes. That's where we'll bring Ger back in. Lads, it's been a great chatting to this, both of you. We're not finished just yet. Now we have to talk about 2021. Ger, of course, you have Epic Hero to aim at the big prizes still. He's going to be up there, one of the leading fancies in the likes of the Easter Cup, the Derby, and who knows, the likes of the Champion Stakes. And wherever else he ends up, I'm sure you'd love to go back to Limerick towards the end of the year, touch wood, all going well. Of course, he's not your only winner in 2020. He also won the Munster Juvenile with Pirno, a very, very talented greyhound. And from what Tommy tells me about him, very much a raw, sort of an immature dog. Again, a bit like Epic Hero, will improve for racing. He showed a bit of promise towards the back end of the year after the Munster Juvenile, but a sign of probably a dog that really wants 550 yards. And I dare say Shelburne Park will suit him in the future.
Yeah, hopefully. He had a slight little bit of a setback there. Couple of weeks back, he was in the race in Cork and was bowled over, but he's fine. He's on the easy list at the minute, but hopefully next week he should be back in full training again. And yeah, we're looking forward to things with him. He's a dog now that wants 550 plus. You know what I mean? We think, and he has the early pace, which is a big bonus for him. It's just he's competing now with top class dogs, and it's just a matter of getting education and, you know, a bit of experience with him. So hopefully things will work in his favor as well. He should be entered up in some of the big races anyway, hopefully in the new year.
And did yourself and Joan invest in any other pups or anything? Do you have anything coming
did.
up after them?
Yeah, we have a nice dog. Thomas is very happy with him. He's out of Ravenna as well, out of the next litter, and the dog's name is Evermore. Evermore. He's hopefully at the moment he's been named at the juvenile in Tralee. So
that says enough of what Tommy thinks about him anyway.
Yeah, we're very pleased with him. He seems to be doing everything right at the minute anyway, but that's the plan for him. He's a nice pup, and he's something to look forward to as well.
That's great.
We have another pup there. He'll be going down to Tipperary now in the next week. Artistic Vision is his name. He's only a young dog. He's a Ballymacvic dog, out of a high street bitch, and he's showing a bit of promise there at home here. So he'll be going down to Tipperary now in this week or next week.
It sounds like the bug is still firmly there. You really caught it, and you're not letting go of it at this stage.
No, we're just going through a lucky patch at the minute. The dogs seem to be just, like Evermore is hopefully fly the flag, for the coming season and next season as well. Like if he's able to produce what we're seeing at the moment, which he will do, we've no doubt about him. They're a breed like that, like you were saying earlier, like Thomas was saying, like they're a breed. They need age. And they should even, improve when they go past 2 years of age. That's why I'm saying about Epic Hero. He should improve now this year. That's hopefully we'll see the best of him and Pirno as well.
So in an ideal world, Ger, you're going to be talking to me at hopefully at a real lunch, not just a virtual lunch ahead of a classic at some stage later in the year. It'll be a great dream.
That if that happens, it'll be certainly a big bonus. I heard Michael saying there, do you know what I mean? How hard it is, like his dog, like a super dog, and being so near and yet so far away from, winning several big races. Like that's the competition at the moment, and that's you just need that little bit of luck. You know what I mean? Like his dog was just pipped, like you were saying there,
Well, you need luck, but you also need good pedigree, and you need a good handler, and you've got all three. Well, listen, Ger, best of luck. We're going to just end now with Michael, if that's okay. Michael, you obviously have a bit of stock in the ground. You have the next litter of Portumnas. She did a litter in 2018. She has a 2019 litter. Am I right?
That's right, yeah, by Ballymacbest. Yeah, they're 15 months now at the minute.
Ballymacbest, you're going for early speed again anyway.
Well, sure, I suppose you have to, they're nice, but they're nice saplings at the minute, and we're doing a bit of schooling with them there now, and hopefully they'll do the business.
Grangeview West, she missed the guts of a year. Did she have a litter, or was she just getting over injury or seasons, or what was the story there?
No, she came in season, and we were just getting ready back last March to go to Cork for the Oaks. Actually, we were bringing her down for a trial on the Saturday night, and next thing the shutdown came, and that finished that. So just at the 8th of June, actually, she broke again then the 8th of June when they lifted the lockdown. So she was out for another 3 months. So
she was only coming right in the Oaks. You could see every week she was getting there, and she just came into a red hot. He'd missed the kick one night, and that was that. But she seemed to be coming to the boil at the right time towards the end of the year.
Yeah, it's a pity, because she's a super bitch, even the night she missed the kick, you just have to take your hat off to her. For a bitch that led in so many of her races, her tracking ability was astounding. Like, she went into the bin, there's 2 dogs in front of her. She just automatically veered right, out beside him. The same to top bin, she couldn't get through. She swung out again. Their tracking ability is just unbelievable, like the brain they have.
Certainly genuine. That's the beauty of it as well. You can tell they're hunting it into the ground. What's the plan? Is she going to continue on, or you'll play it by ear?
No, we'll breed her now at this stage. We're kind of waiting for her to come in. She's due to come in season shortly, and we'll breed her.
Indeed.
So,
I have to ask one more question. Grangeview 10. I assume there's been interest. Like he's an ideal dog in terms of pedigree for breeding. He has so much early speed, so much bravery, class. You know, is there much interest in him at stud?
yeah, he's some bitches mated there at the minute, and he's going grand. Like Richard Cully has him there, Richard and Michael up there in Cabra, and yeah, he's going okay at the minute. Like, no, I have some pups here by him myself as well. They're 5 months old, and actually they're beautiful pups now. In fairness, you know.
So do you have any ready to go, or is it a case of you're just waiting for these 15-month-olds to start showing something and move them on down to Pat, or will you be keeping many, or have you sold many?
Well, I didn't actually breed that bitch now. Mary McDougall actually bred the bitch now, and I have
beg
four.
pardon.
I have 4 of them here, 2 bitches and 2 dogs, and apart from that, we'll say we have Nifty, the bitch we had her in the Oak. Though she was young, Grangeview Nifty. She came in season at the start of the Oaks, so she's ready to go back now again shortly. You know, that's more or less it now, and hopefully these dogs kick on for us later on in the year.
You're plenty of pups about you, and they're all very well bred. Well, that's the key, isn't it? Feed them well, look after them, and hopefully something will turn into another Grangeview 10, although they are few and far between. Listen, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Have a great 2021. Enjoy the memories, and cherish the memories of 2020, because you know yourself, you know, a little bit of luck like that, it's what you need. It's what keeps you going in the game. And have a great year.
Yeah, thanks a million, Ian.
Gentlemen, thanks very much indeed.
Thanks,
well, that's it for us. We're after speaking to Ger and to Michael about their 2 superstars, and now the dream continues. They were looking for more, and I'm sure they will find them in the future. But that's it for us on Talking Dogs this Monday. We'll be back shortly. We'll see you again.